In March 2024, a shocking crime rocked a small community in Mississippi. Gregg, a 14-year-old honor student described as exceptionally bright, was charged with murdering her mother, Ashley Smiley, and attempting to murder her stepfather, Heath Smiley. The case gained national attention due to the young age of the defendant and the brutal nature of the crime. On March 19, 2024, Gregg allegedly shot her mother, Ashley Smiley, in the neck, killing her. She then reportedly texted friends asking them to come over and see her mother's lifeless body. When her stepfather, Heath Smiley, arrived home, allegedly shot him in the shoulder as he tried to wrestle the gun away from her. Months after these horrific events, now 15-year-old Gregg went on trial after turning down a plea deal. That deal would have sent her to prison for 40 years. The prosecution painted a picture of a calculating killer who murdered her mother after secrets about her behavior were revealed at school. However, the defense argued that Carly was suffering from an undiagnosed mental illness. They claimed there were 3 victims on that fateful day: Ashley, Heath, and Carly herself. The trial began with opening statements from both sides. State Attorney Catherine White Newman told jurors that on the morning of March 19th, Carly had gotten into an altercation with a friend at school. This friend was so worried about Carly's marijuana use, her being high, and her possession of burner phones that her mother didn't know about. He felt compelled to tell Ashley Smiley. According to the prosecution, after school that day, Carly rode home with her mother. Once inside their house, Ashley reportedly went to search Carly's room, where she found vape pens. The prosecution alleged that Carly then went straight to her parents' bedroom, removed a .357 Magnum from under the mattress, and concealed it behind her back. She then walked to her own bedroom and fired 3 shots into her mother, killing her. In the 45 minutes following the shooting, Carly allegedly reached out to several friends, inviting them over but not saying why. One friend did come over, and according to the prosecution, Carly asked her if she was squeamish around dead bodies before showing her Ashley's body. Carly then allegedly told this friend, "I put 3 in my mom, and I got 3 more waiting for my stepdad when he gets home." The defense, on the other hand, painted a different picture. They admitted that Carly had killed her mother and shot her stepfather, but argued that these actions were not intentional. Instead, they claimed that Carly had been suffering from an undiagnosed mental illness that neither she, her parents, nor her friends were aware of. They described Carly as an exceptionally bright student who loved her mother and wanted to please her. They emphasized that Carly's stepfather was still supporting her, understanding that there were 3 victims on March 19th. The trial proceeded with testimony from several key witnesses. The 911 operator who took Heath Smiley's call testified about the chaotic and emotional nature of the call. Body cam footage from the first responding officer showed Heath Smiley falling to the ground as soon as the officer knocked on the door. He was clearly in shock and pain from his gunshot wound. One of the most powerful testimonies came from Heath Smiley himself. He described the loving relationship between Ashley and Carly, saying that everything Ashley did was planned around Carly. He talked about his own good relationship with his stepdaughter, mentioning how they would play video games together. He would also take her to karate and guitar lessons. Heath also testified about the day of the murder. He said the morning had started normally, with Ashley and Carly leaving for school as usual. Later that day, he received a text message from Ashley's phone asking if he was almost home. He found the phrasing odd and suspected it might have actually been sent by Carly. When he arrived home, he was met with a shocking scene: Carly pointing a gun at his face. Heath described the moment in chilling detail. "Just gun flash in my face, and then it went off 2 more times. But my hand was on the gun after the first shot, and I twisted it from her." He was grazed by a bullet in his shoulder, but said he didn't feel the pain at the time due to the shock. After getting the gun away from Carly, he found his wife Ashley on the floor with a towel over her face. When he moved the towel, he saw that she had been shot. The prosecution also presented surveillance video from inside the Smiley home. The footage showed Carly and her mother arriving home on the day of the murder. Minutes later, Carly is seen walking towards where the guns were kept in the home, checking to make sure the coast was clear, then shooting at her mother 3 times while appearing calm. Additional body cam footage showed Carly's arrest. She was found on the side of the road and appeared relatively calm as she was handcuffed and questioned about which hand she had used to fire the gun. Throughout the trial, the question of Carly's mental state loomed large. The defense consistently argued that Carly had been suffering from an undiagnosed mental illness. They pointed out that Carly had a history of self-harm and had been seeing a therapist. Heath Smiley testified that Carly had been prescribed medication, although he wasn't sure if she had been taking it regularly. The case presented a complex picture of a seemingly normal family torn apart by an unthinkable act. Carly was described as a gifted student who had scored a 30 on the ACT at just 13 years old. She had a loving relationship with her mother and stepfather, yet she was also dealing with undisclosed secrets and behavioral issues at school. As the trial progressed, jurors were left to grapple with difficult questions. Was Carly Gregg a cold-blooded killer who murdered her mother over exposed secrets? Or was she a troubled teenager suffering from severe mental illness who committed an unthinkable act in a moment of crisis? The case highlighted the complexities of trying juveniles as adults, especially in cases involving severe mental health issues. It also raised questions about the recognition and treatment of mental illness in teenagers, and the potential consequences when such illnesses go undiagnosed or untreated. As the trial came to a close, the fate of Carly Gregg hung in the balance. If convicted, she faced a sentence of 20 years to life in prison. The jury was tasked with weighing the prosecution's portrayal of a calculated killer against the defense's image of a mentally ill child who needed help, not punishment. Regardless of the outcome, the case of Carly Gregg serves as a stark reminder of the potential for tragedy when mental health issues in young people go unaddressed. It underscores the importance of mental health awareness and intervention, particularly in schools and families. The shocking nature of the crime, a child killing her own mother, captured national attention. It sparked discussions about juvenile justice, mental health treatment, and the complex dynamics of family relationships. As the nation watched and waited for a verdict, one thing was clear. There were no winners in this case. A family had been destroyed, a community shaken, and a young life forever altered. The trial of Carly Gregg would likely be remembered as a tragic cautionary tale, a somber reminder of the devastating consequences that can unfold when mental health issues in young people are overlooked or misunderstood.